Steve Evans in studio. You hear him, of course, when he fills in for me here on KFYO, but also he won a big election last night.
Huge. It was huge.
A huge
election.
Huge election.
Big night last night.
Yes. A better overall percentage than Donald Trump.
I think so. I was going for 89%. I think I pulled right around 68.9%. So yeah. There's still a few people out there that don't like me. I've got to pull them over to my side.
Yeah. Some on the KFYO side, I think.
Quite a few. I got some dirty looks this morning. I don't know if everybody's just exhausted from last night or if
that's
I
part
have
of
that
it.
many enemies.
Yeah, I think that, well, maybe both. But I think the tired from last night is definitely.
Unbelievable night.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that it just took so long to get all those results out. Man, I wonder how many people are just catching their news this morning.
Probably. Well, I'm sure there were a lot of people who, they went to sleep last night going, just find out tomorrow.
Yeah, I wanted to, but it just didn't work out that way.
I think some of the candidates were just like, can we just go to sleep and we'll find out tomorrow?
Yeah, they start looking at that bar tab at those watch parties and start thinking, man, we need to go ahead and cut this off. We're going too long here.
That's right. Steve Evans, he's the incoming Lubbock County Republican chair. We'll kind of get into that and what all that entails a little bit later on. But last night, overall impressions from last night, at least locally, including District 19. What were your thoughts?
Well, you and I talked about this early on, and I really thought at the time it would have been a Glenn Robertson, Michael Bob Starr runoff. And it was shaping up. And then, of course, and we're beating this thing to death. They just didn't handle it properly. They didn't handle the LGBT stuff properly. And, you can analyze that for years on what happened, but not surprised at the Arrington-Robinson runoff. Really not. I'm a little bit surprised that the spread is as close as it is, but really not surprised in that race at all.
Well, and if you look at Election Day, Arrington on Election Day actually received more votes than Robertson.
Yes.
And I thought that was not only here, but in Taylor County as well. Arrington had a surge, and I guess you could make the argument. The Arrington camp has made the argument that the negative, what they call the negative ad from Robertson, actually hurt Robertson and helped them.
Yeah, and I don't remember who said it last night that it wasn't that negative, and it really wasn't. But I think it was absolutely relevant. Mm-hmm. I think Robinson may have lost some votes on it.
I think so, and obviously Colonel Starr was hurt as well during the early voting all the way until Election Day, and he cratered not only here in Lubbock but also in Taylor County, and it looks like a lot of that support went to Jody Arrington, which I think is kind of a nod towards the future of what we may see. The Starr people heading over, if they're going to vote, the Starr people heading over to the Arrington camp.
Yeah, I think Jody Arrington should definitely take Jason Corley out to dinner and thank him because he couldn't have paid for that push he got after all the controversy started.
I don't know if Corley knew he was helping Arrington.
I don't know, but he could have mic dropped it there because it was certainly where the election turned.
Let's see. I received a text message. District 19 is going to come down to where the people voted for the other people goes. I think Stars goes to Arrington. The rest, who knows? Well, the rest, I don't want to, sound too mean here, but I don't know how many other people are that significant.
Yeah, they're really not. The question is, of course, you want to grab Star's votes. Does that help you or does that hurt you? Does an endorsement from Starr help you or does it hurt you?
It can be spun both ways.
Both ways, absolutely.
But one of these candidates has to reach out to Taylor County, and Taylor County, I think they've got a couple of runoff elections. So people are going to be turning out in Taylor County to vote, and you're going to want those votes.
Absolutely, and Taylor County is going to be critical in the runoff. They'll decide it, really. We know where we stand in Lubbock. I don't think we're going to have any big surprises in the Lubbock County vote, but Taylor County is going to be interesting, and the candidate that gets down there and knocks on doors and works is going to be the one that will prevail.
It could be a pretty close runoff because, if Election Day is any indication, where early vote went to Robertson, Election Day went to Arrington, really only a couple hundred votes. At the end of the day, maybe I think maybe at one time it expanded to 1,000, maybe close to 1,000. That could be flipped
Oh, it could, and I'm really interested to see the kind of campaign Robinson runs from here on out. Is it more of the status quo, or is he seeing the difference in the early vote versus the election day vote? Do they learn from that? So,
well, I think early on you have to be aggressive. I mean, you've already moved towards that. The Robertson camp, it sounded like last night when they were on with us, sounded like they were ready to define themselves, ready to define, the race between two people. Both camps have already said, they'll come on this show and debate.
Oh, I can't wait.
So I think the Robertson camp, they're ready to take the gloves off, and I don't know who that helps.
I don't either. It's probably the most exciting runoff I've ever seen. I'm really looking forward to it. But, that was not the only excitement. The big upset last night was over on the Democrat ticket, County Commissioner Precinct 3, Bubba Cedeno, unseated. That blew me away. It really shocked me. Really was the only thing I didn't see coming was that race right there. It was interesting.
Well, and that's, for county commissioners, and I don't know if the county commissioners really had a lot of attention paid to them during the election, but for county commissioners, Bubba was obviously Democrat, but one of the more conservative members of the county commissioners court.
He was often, that's a safe statement, he was often coined as more conservative or the most conservative at times on issues on the commissioners court. So very interesting that his precinct chose to unseat him. I'm kind of shocked, but it was close. I'm wondering if there'll be a recount there.
Really? You think?
I don't know. How many votes was it? I don't even remember.
It was very close. No, it was pretty close. I guess that could happen. Let's go to the phones before we take the first break of the hour. Bradford, you're on KFYO.
Hey, good morning, Chad.
Hey.
I thought I'd just kind of chime in and, kind of talk about the schmooze race, especially for the VP. You had, of course, Sarah and Chris Christie.
Who's going to be Donald Trump's VP? That's what you're talking about?
I get it now.
The best one would be, I would think, Ben Carson. He can look over the shoulder and see how all things work, and I think he would make an excellent VP.
No, he wouldn't.
A cabinet member.
You don't think so?
No, he would make a terrible VP.
Terrible.
Well, I don't know if he would be it's just no one would be excited, in my opinion.
You think so?
I think he would make a fantastic cabinet member.
Yes.
We could put him over something.
I think he just needs to grab some experience. And I thought, let's take a look at the VP we got now.
Well, that's not fair.
A bag of hammers.
That's not fair. I mean, come on. Of course, he would be better than Crazy Joe.
Anybody would be.
I don't know if you put him in the cabinet or not. He might fall asleep.
Oh, I think we got to be concerned about his cough. If anything else.
Yeah, Brett. I don't see Ben Carson lining up as VP.
Really?
Yeah, maybe. I don't even think Chris Christie lines up as VP. I mean, you're looking at maybe.
I would. He couldn't. Chris. Can't get it.
I think he wants to be Attorney General. I think that's what Chris Christie wants.
Oh yeah, definitely.
No matter who the next president is, I think he wants to be Attorney General. I think for VP right now, if we're looking traditional with Donald Trump, and that's always iffy. But with Donald Trump, you're looking at maybe Rick Scott out of Florida. I don't think he goes towards Rubio. I don't think he goes towards Cruz. But you might possibly look at Kasich. For that governor. He's already sort of hinted that he wants an insider as VP. So he's going to pick somebody who's been in the game.
Okay. Quick ha-ha moment. If just hypothetically, should Donald Trump get the presidency, would Donald Trump consider the White House a dump? Because he lives pretty palatially.
It's not as luxurious as Trump Tower, I can tell you that.
A remodel would be in order.
Oh, he'd have to, add a few stories to it for sure.
Some golden faucets and gold-plated toilet seats would be in order.
Absolutely. Bradford, thanks for the call. Appreciate it. 770-5790, toll-free, 1-800-687-0790. More of your phone calls, and we'll get into more discussion on Texas 19. Also, some state legislative races. John Frullo winning big last night here in Lubbock. We'll get into that. Joe Strauss winning big as well. We'll be right back. Chad Hasty Show, News Talk 790 KFYO. In studio with me, The next chairman of the Lubbock County Republican Party, Steve Evans.
Capital T, the chairman.
The chairman. Is that what we should start calling you, Mr. Chairman?
You could. Several people have been calling me Mr. Chairman for the last...
Sucking up?
Sucking up. Sucking up. That's what the chairman-elect down in, was it Travis County? That's what he should have been doing, sucking up.
Well, and for folks who don't know about that, now that's
I may have jumped and led your story.
No, but that's fine.
This is a funny story.
It is a crazy, crazy story out of Travis County, and I have no idea really who this guy is. I've unless you've lived in Travis County, you probably have not heard of the guy. But the person who won the Travis County GOP chairmanship is named Robert Morrow. This is the Texas Tribune version of the story. The newly elected chair of the Republican Party in the county that includes Texas Capital spent most of election night tweeting about former Governor Rick Perry's sexual orientation, former President Bill Clinton's, well, you know what, and insisting that members of the Bush family should be in jail.
It's so ridiculous.
He also found time to call Hillary Clinton an angry bull dyke. That's wrong. That's just wrong. And accuse his county vice chair of betraying the values of the Republican Party. That, by the way, would be Matt Makoviak, who you hear on this show on Monday. I think we'll have something to talk about with Matt coming up on Monday.
Doubt. My question is, did they not vet this guy before they got behind him?
How did they, how's this guy, anyway, he said, quote, "The people have spoken." Robert Morrow, who won the helm of the Travis County GOP with 54% of the vote, told the Texas Tribune, "My friends and neighbors and political supporters, they wanted Robert Morrow." Morrow's election as Republican chair, the fifth largest county in Texas, left several members of the Travis County GOP, including Vice Chair Matt Makoviak, the way they put it, Makoviak on Twitter was furious last night. I don't know if you follow him on Twitter.
No, I don't. I do now.
He was going crazy over this. I mean, he's coming up with all sorts of plans. Kidnapping might be. I don't know. Kidnapping might not be ruled out yet.
They do have options.
Do they?
They do. Now, they cannot remove him.
Okay.
They can be so nasty to him that he wants to leave.
I don't think he cares about that.
Occasionally, I think we have a few people around Lubbock County once in a while that know how to do that. But what they can do is the executive committee does have the power of the purse. They can take his ability to spend money away. They can basically rule him completely ineffective by stripping his power, by not agreeing to vote with him. Plus, they can institute bylaws by 2/3 majority of their local party, and they can write anything they want in there as long as it complies with the state party rules, and just completely tie his hands. Now, the danger is you would have a completely inoperable party. And he still, unless they get him to resign, he would still administer the primary in Travis County.
Makoviak, who went apoplectic last night on Twitter, according to the Tribune, immediately announced that he would do everything in his power to remove Morrow from office. Quote, "We'll explore every single option that exists, whether it be persuading him to resign, trying to force him to resign, constraining his power, removing his ability to spend money," as Steve brought up, "or resisting any attempt for him to access data or social media accounts. I'm treating this as a coup and a hostile takeover."
Oh, what a great time to be in Travis County.
This is fantastic. Well, and imagine, because I've already seen some folks on social media who aren't fans of Trump, and now they have this guy as chairman. And there are some Republicans in Travis County who are not very happy people today.
Oh, no doubt. But 54% of them may be happy. It's the 54% that are not involved in the party politics.
How many people, when it comes to, now obviously you did not have an opponent.
Right.
But if you had an opponent, how many people out there do you really think know the backgrounds of those running for county chair.
Nobody does really, unless people that are insiders might, people that are real close to the party, involved in party politics. But there have been times when big amounts of money were spent on these races, and people went out and walked blocks and put signs out and ran negative ads and everything to win the county chair seat.
I mean, you could say here in Lubbock last night on the Democratic side, I don't know if you would consider it an upset or not, but
I think it was a little bit of an upset.
Yeah. I mean, you had Charlie Dunn, who I think people have heard the name.
Yeah, and hasn't he been I believe he's been the chairman before, the party chairman before.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Could be wrong.
But, I mean, people have heard his name before, obviously, tied to a few different things. And he lost.
Some good, some bad.
Yeah.
And he lost.
And he lost last night. And I think a lot of people were those who pay attention to that were surprised by those results.
Oh, I was certainly surprised. And I was actually sitting right next to, when the early voting came out, I was sitting right next to the current county party chair, Kenny Kettner, and he had a look of shock on his face.
Did he?
I don't think he quite knew what was happening.
Well, I don't know how well Kenny knows is it Marjorie who's going to be?
Yeah, and I've never met her.
But he knows, Dunn real well. And, I could see where Kettner would be a little shocked by that.
I was just worried that I was going to have to go on another station and do my top favorite music with Charlie Dunn. I don't know if I can go up against the Four Tops and some of that older music out there.
Let's see, Makoviak saying that, let's see, okay, here we go. I will not rest until we remove him as chairman, Makoviak told the Texas Tribune. He is going to be an absolute embarrassment to the party, and if we fail in these efforts, we will start an alternative organization. Okay, now let me ask you this. If they start an alternative organization, do they still have any say over Republican primaries or anything else?
No, they can. I mean, there's other clubs out there. There's pachyderm clubs. There's clubs that can be affiliated with the state party, but there can be only one party in Travis County that gains credentials, that administers the primary, and how they would actually take that away from the official Travis County. I'm sure there's a way. I have no doubt. Matt Makowiak will not rest.
No, he won't.
And he has a lot at his disposal to
he does
to exert that effort.
Morrow responded, I don't even think Makowiak's going to support the Republican nominee. Doing the hashtag Never Trump, Morrow said. What kind of traitor to the party is Matt Makowiak? He also called Makowiak a name that we can't really say on the radio. Things are going swell down in Travis County. We'll be right back. We could probably go on for another hour with this Travis County GOP chairman guy.
No doubt. No doubt.
I mean, when he says that the Republican National Committee is, quote, just a gay foam party. I don't even know what that means.
It's so ridiculous.
I don't even. Yeah.
This is a good Saturday show topic, too, because this could take
we're going to
while.
bring it up on Saturday. Absolutely, because there are places we can go on that show that a little more iffy here, I think, sometimes.
We could probably tie the Barbie controversy to this guy, too.
Probably. Absolutely. Steve Evans in studio. He's the incoming, almost non-controversial Lubbock County Republican chairman.
For 69% of voting Lubbock, non-controversial.
Right. The rest, and for a majority at KFYO, very controversial.
Yeah. In fact, I'm going to be escorted out just shortly.
Yes, exactly. Let's take a look. What are your thoughts on Texas legislative races? And that includes HD 84, Representative Frullo winning again.
I can't say that I'm really surprised. John ran a campaign. I mean, it was aggressive, little negative, but he did what he had to win. And it's really not a big shock for me there. I really thought that's how it would turn out.
Yeah, it was I guess a good night, you could say, for most of the incumbents. It
was, and I don't think there was really too many upsets. Really, the interesting race was Joe Strauss, and the sheer amount of money that he dumped in his campaign, which, it tells me he was worried to dump $4 million. That's more than some big statewide campaigns.
Yeah. He dumped a lot of money into it, but he also won big, 60% of the vote?
Yeah, won huge. Just absolutely huge turnout.
Look, if you're going to dump $4 million in, you might as well win by a big margin, and maybe that scares off people the next time. Maybe.
You start looking at that price per vote, though, and that's just daunting. How much he spent for each vote he got.
He really wanted to win.
He did. Yeah. Really, really bad for a guy that's only gonna run one more term.
Yeah, and on the flip side, there were some people who really, really wanted him out of there. And they didn't. I don't think they spent nearly $4 million, but
I don't think, but a lot. I'm not sure
money.
what the total combined money was spent by his opponents, but I know they were well funded.
Yeah,
just not as well as Joe Strauss was.
The other race that went sort of crazy was the Byron Cook.
Byron Cook race was a little shocking. It was 222 votes.
He was down big in early voting, came back and won with 222 votes.
Yeah, shocking. Wonder if there would be anybody would order a recount over 222 votes.
Maybe.
I might.
Yeah, maybe. Why not?
Find out how many of those votes were dead.
Yeah. You've been looking at some other stuff that was brought up last night on the election show involving Frank Gutierrez, correct?
Yeah, we brought that up and kind of left it hanging. It's a little bit of a sticky situation. So originally Frank Gutierrez filed to run on the Republican seat for County Commissioner Precinct 3. Then after County Commissioner Precinct 2, Victor Hernandez withdrew from or resigned his position to seek the mayoral seat, Frank then filed to run for that seat, which leaves us in kind of a conundrum. And so the big question out there is what do we do? Does Frank continue to run? Do we get to replace that seat? How does this all work? The best that I can come up with, and there has been some opinions from Secretary of State, there's several scenarios that they looked at, but the one that the only one where the Republican Party gets to replace the nominee is the scenario where Frank stays on the primary ballot, which he did because he was past the time to withdraw. He then stays on the general ballot and just basically leaves that seat alone, just lets it ride, and seeks the city council seat. Now, should he win the city council seat, that would then automatically withdraw him from the general ballot, then throwing us into a ballot replacement scenario, very similar to what happened with Charles Perry and the 83 House seat that we saw in the last cycle, where the county executive committee would then get to it wouldn't be the county executive committee, it would be the precinct chairs from that county commissioner precinct would then go into a ballot replacement scenario. But if all that's got to happen, for it to work. And I think Frank has already indicated that he doesn't intend to stay on. He's going to remove his name from the general ballot, which he has to do 74 days prior to the general election. And then that just takes away the ability of the party to replace his seat. But he also has to win the city council race. So he's got a tough race there, too.
A very tough race, and you still have a filing deadline of March 7th. In that race, so maybe we'll see some other people jump into City Council District 1.
So I'll throw this out there. I know you want to. I wonder, does Bubba Cedeno live out in Precinct 2?
I started to, I was wondering that today. Could he run for Victor's seat? Because here's the deal. I think Bubba's pretty popular.
He is.
He's popular among Democrats. He's popular among Republicans.
He's just popular.
He's popular.
I don't know.
He could, if he lives in that district, if he lives in Victor's district.
Yeah, and I have no idea.
Yeah, he could win that seat.
Maybe Bubba is calling right now to let us know his intent to run for that seat.
We haven't heard that he wants to, but we're just throwing it out there.
We'll file for you, Bubba. I may have a spare packet laying around.
Yeah, we'll
fill it out for you.
We'll just throw it out there. Bubba Cedeno, maybe you want to take a look at Lubbock City Council. If you live in District 1, just take a look.
That would make it interesting.
Yeah. It's very interesting. Very.
We need a little controversy because we don't have enough on the city council as it is.
Absolutely. Before we let you go, Tell folks what's happening Thursday night.
Thursday night, we're not done. You've gone out, you've voted. Now it's time to continue to be involved in party politics because it is so much fun for those of us who are party nerds. March 3rd, Thursday night at the Making Memories on Broadway. I believe it's 1619 Broadway. We're holding our precinct conventions all under one roof. So that's where you'll go. Everyone everyone that voted either on in the Republican primary or didn't vote in the Democratic primary and wants to take an oath of affirmation to the Republican Party and pledge their undying allegiance to the Republican Party can show up. Your precinct will be represented. If it's not, then you get to call it to order. Ooh. And name your delegates for county, adopt your resolutions to the county party platform, which we are one of the few counties in the state that has its own platform. And we start that process where we work up to county convention, state convention, and then on up to the RNC to cast our votes for our nominee.
I said I was going to let you go. I'm not. I'm going to keep you at the final segment.
Okay.
So that way we can get a little bit more into it, because I'm pretty sure there are a lot of people who, obviously high turnout, maybe people want to get more involved, but they don't know what all happens at these conventions.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
So let's get into that when we come back. All right, Chad Hasty Show, News Talk 790 KFYO, wrapping up today's program. Steve Evans, the next chairman. The chairman of the Lubbock County Republican Party.
I've got tremendous shoes to fill. Carl Tepper has done a fantastic job, has been a tremendous leader and teacher and someone who has definitely helped me out along the way. And I mean, we've got to recognize the great asset he's been to the County Republican Party.
Absolutely. And we'll still hear from Carl.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah.
I mean, I will go pull him out of his house. He's still got to help. I can't do it alone. I still need advice, and he's still willing to give it.
For those who you brought up you have precinct conventions, and then it moves on. Tell folks, I guess, what all that entails.
Well, and it's something that a lot of people overlook. Your job, folks, is not to just vote. It's to turn out and continue the process, because it goes all the way up to the RNC, but at the very, very basic level, the precinct, where we still have a little bit of precinct identity, a bunch of mini conventions happen. And they used to happen, and some people may remember them. We would post a notice at your polling place when we had polling places in every precinct, and you would organize a precinct convention right after the voting closed. So around 7-ish, the way it should be, your precinct convention would start, and what you do is show up. You might have a resolution that you want to insert into the platform that could be something as simple as, I believe that all microphones should be blue, and I want this to be part of the party's platform. I want them to support blue microphones, and I'm speaking into blue microphones. I use that example, but that's what I believe. And so what'll happen is you go to your precinct convention, and through the process, and it's an official process that's lined out. A bunch of things have to happen. You nominate a chairperson. You vote on that chairperson, elect them. Then you vote on a slate of delegates to go up to the next convention, and it trickles up. And then you vote on your resolutions. And should your resolution pass your precinct convention, it's then submitted to, in the case of Lubbock County, where we have our own platform, it's then submitted to the Lubbock County Republican Party's platform committee, who will be nominated off of the precinct chair or the precinct delegate list. These words start to all run together. The precinct delegate list, the sitting chairman will appoint committees, and basically you go in, and I sat on the resolutions committee one time. I mean, we went several days, all night, 7 o'clock in the morning, just duking it out over what this platform is going to read, and some people are extremely passionate about it.
Yeah.
You've got just real old, diehard Republicans, some establishment. We're seeing an influx of libertarian influence into the party, so we fight about what our platform and our statement's going to be, hoping that our candidates are going to get behind that and stand behind our platform. So that process happens. You submit your resolutions. You get to be part of that. If you want to go up to the county convention, you get your name in there. And you don't have to show up. You just at least need to make a phone call to someone at that precinct convention and say, I want to be on the delegate list. And then you head up to county. And the process is pretty much the same. It just gets larger and more condensed and steamrolls as it goes. And you get to state, and you add in the nomination and election of a new state chairman or the incumbent, and then you have Senate district, state Senate district, and in a presidential year, congressional district caucuses where you will elect your state Republican executive committee, and then your delegates that go on up to the RNC are elected in the congressional district caucus. And all to the giant climax at the RNC where we actually nominate the person who is going to be on the ballot for the Republican Party.
And it all starts locally.
It all starts right here. So people that are passionate and turned out, had a great voter turnout, you should turn out and be part of the process. And we have to continue this process to protect it. The RNC is making a push to shrink our delegates, shrink the way we conduct that. So it's important to continue to exercise that process and be relevant.
You know, I thought it was interesting. Yesterday I saw a video, and it was from the Trump camp. And it was Ivanka Trump, and she was, urging Texans, hey, be sure to, get out and vote. But then she went into the whole precinct convention. And
really?
Yeah, and she said, become a delegate and work your way up to becoming a delegate, who travels and will be a delegate at the national convention, which told me they're also worried about this going to a contested convention. And,
they absolutely are.
And so the Trump
today.
people, they're very smart in saying, hey, Trump supporters, show up so that way you can become our delegate and you can go and vote for Donald Trump.
Absolutely. And I have no doubt that we will see the influence of the candidates at the state convention. When we start nominating and electing delegates, I think there will be some influence, maybe outside, maybe in the parking lots, maybe some bumper stickers, maybe some Frank Underwood paraphernalia handed around to sway you. And I think we'll see, especially if this thing goes into a brokered convention, it's going to take extremely strong people and people that are very versed in the rules and know how to go out and be power brokers for the party and for their candidate, and who know how to fight to keep the rules intact. It's going to be a very important convention, but all the brokered nonsense, I think, after we see how some of the next primaries look, I think Marco Rubio will lose enough steam that the brokered convention threat will start to diminish over time.
Yeah, you don't see it happening?
Today, no. We'll see. Marco's going to have to get enough delegates to be relevant and to be able to broker, or the RNC has nothing to sit on. That's why Lindsey Graham came out yesterday with a bad taste in his mouth and said, we may have to get behind Ted Cruz.
Oh, that hurt him.
Oh, it killed him. I mean, I'm sure he had to run to the restroom and vomit. It hurt him really bad. He lost his lunch. But that's the truth, because Marco Rubio would have been their pick, but he's not going to have enough steam left to go in and try to broker the convention, I think.
And unless somehow Trump's numbers in Florida collapse.
Oh, they would have to just destroy him.
And I think he's up by about 30 points right now in Florida. So I don't know how that happens by March 15th.
And the Trump fever could be so great that, Ted Cruz just becomes irrelevant at the RNC, and it's just a clean sweep.
Let me ask you this. And we only have a couple of minutes left. If it gets to a contested or brokered convention, if it gets to that point, Donald Trump is in the lead by a lot of delegates, 800-900 delegates, okay? But the RNC still able to deny him outright. If someone else is chosen other than Donald Trump, what happens then?
Matt McCoviak goes on Twitter in an angry rant.
Trump fans are going to be ticked if that happens, right?
You have to look at, was that pick the will of the people? When you have a super majority of citizens, I'm going to get crucified for saying this, a super majority of citizens who like Trump, and I did not vote for Trump, by the way. I'll just put that out on the air.
Huge.
But that's the will of the people, and if that gets upset, there's no telling what'll happen there.
Yeah. All right. It's Thursday night, precinct conventions again
6
at
p.m., 1600 block of Broadway. Be there or don't be represented.
Very nice. Steve Evans, thank you very much.
Thank you, Chad.
Has Bubba called you yet? Bubba Cedeno?
No, not yet.
About possibly running in District 1 City Council?
My phone has not rung yet. So, Bubba, I've got your packet. Frank, I'm just kidding.
But Bubba, seriously, anybody, the 7th is the filing deadline.
Let's make it interesting. Let's have a lot of people.
Let's make District 1 great again.
Make it great again.
Absolutely. Steve Evans, thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it.